This is our hero Ain, who had grown weary of everything and everyone around him, to the point where he decided to end his life after the humiliation, disgrace, and betrayal he had endured. He kept telling himself, I have achieved nothing in my life, and now everything is over. This life is not fair at all. But what exactly brought him to this state? Let us go back a little to uncover his story. The young boy Ain was working with one of the parties affiliated with the Guild of Adventurers. As you can see, they were fighting a giant rat deep inside the dungeons. It was a shabby little team consisting of a boy, a girl, and Ain himself. The boy's name was Zoid, the one slashing at the rat's neck with his sword. He was not very skilled, and he had not finished it off yet. That was when the girl, named Julene, stepped in and unleashed a fiery spell that engulfed the rat and burned it down. Thus, the two of them managed to defeat it together. Zoid then turned to Ain with mockery. Come on, it's your turn now. Do your usual job. Evaluate this rat and see what we can gain from it. Ain's role was to appraise the loot that monsters left behind after death. But Zoid didn't stop there and added, also check if there's anything useful in it. As Ain tried to carry his bags, he stumbled under their weight and fell. Zoid laughed at him and sneered, honestly, you're useless in this life. You can't even carry some bags. Even Julene ridiculed him, saying, calm down, Zoid. He's from the poor class. He doesn't deserve our sympathy. In fact, we could treat him even worse than this. And to think I once mistook you for an angel, Ain. Ain approached the rat's corpse to begin his work. In their world, when a child comes of age, he awakens abilities tied to the profession he is destined to take. Yet, with enough training, one's skills could grow further. Professions in this world were divided into clear categories. Rare class. A few individuals who possess extraordinary powers. Common class. Warriors and mages capable of battle. Poor class. Those like Ain, along with farmers and the elderly, who lack the strength to fight. Ain's father had died when he was young, so he had to rely on himself. The fastest path he saw was to become an adventurer and quickly earn money. But had he become rich? Not at all. When he appraised the rat's corpse, he found its rank to be very low, yet its teeth were of high value. He tried to pull them out but failed, so he called for his teammates. Zoid scoffed. Do you expect me to put my hand in that filth? Why else do you think we brought you along? Then he tossed him a rock, saying, do it yourself. Ain only looked at him silently. Zoid, enraged by his stare, kicked him in the face, knocking him down and yelling, what's with that look? Julene added mockingly, we were fighting while you stood there resting. Don't you have any shame? Ain stood up and apologized weakly, then opened the rat's mouth to pull out its teeth while the others laughed at him. He thought to himself, this world is not fair. All I can do is appraise monsters, but no one can live while being treated this way. Still, he extracted the teeth, carried them, and prepared to leave. Zoid smirked and said, the only reason you're with us is that I don't want to get close to these rotten corpses. Ain answered submissively, understood. He had no choice but to accept such treatment just to stay alive. As they moved forward, they stumbled upon the corpse of a hunting dog. They called Ain over to collect its materials. He looked at them and said, guys, something's wrong. This is very strange. This dog is ranked B. It shouldn't be here. But Zoid cut him off with scorn. Shut up and do your job. Him again, leaving Ain powerless to resist. They kept walking until they found yet another hunting dog's body. They thought fortune had smiled upon them and that they would grow rich. But Ain warned them, let's go back. This feels dangerous. Zoid mocked him. So now the cleaner wants to decide for us? If you want to leave, go on your own. In fact, if you return, you're expelled from the team. Let's see how you'll survive then. Ain realized he needed this job to support himself, and no other team would ever accept him. So he said, backing down, I was only joking, Zoid. I'll stay with you. Forget I ever said anything. Yet only a few steps later, they found 10 more hunting dog corpses lying ahead. The team rejoiced, thinking their poverty had finally ended and riches awaited them. But Ain raised his hand and warned, this is a serious mistake. He had barely spoken when he saw an entire pack of hunting dogs rushing toward them. Everyone froze in shock. Zoid shouted to Julene, even if we use all our strength, we won't take down a single one of them. We have to run now. There's no way we can fight them. Julene asked, how do we run? Zoid replied, very simple. Cast a spell on Ain to paralyze him, carry him, and leave him as bait for the dogs. Ain was stunned by what he heard while the others laughed. Julene, breathless, said, I'm not ready to die now. She cast the spell. Ain could not move, and the party fled, leaving their companion as bait. The dogs tore into his body, cutting his arms and legs, leaving no part whole. Yet the paralysis spell had nullified sensation, so he did not feel. With each bite, a stone lay beside him. He gripped a stone and struck the dogs that bit him, flung them the food from his packs, then rose and ran. This was his last chance to survive. He reached what he thought was the exit, only to find his comrades had blocked the way, so there was no escape. He walked down a corridor, hoping to find a way out until he reached the end, where a deep pit sealed the passage. If he fell, he would die. If he returned to the dogs, he would die as well. He laughed hysterically at his condition. It was unbearable that he was born poor, and his trade was an appraiser. He did not know how to escape that vocation and live like others. Every team he had worked with had heaped insults upon him. His colleagues had left him to die and fled. Why all this? Because he could not fight. He only appraised loot. At the height of despair, he decided to jump into the pit and end his miserable life. A life filled with insults, humiliation, rats, and betrayal. But did the story end there? No. The story was only beginning. Ian tried to faint. Then he saw before him a girl who vanished suddenly, and a colossal tree sprang up before him, his body whole and untouched by a single wound. What was happening? A drop of water fell from the tree and touched him. It was a single drop from the world tree. He was stunned to learn that the world tree still existed. He had thought it had vanished long ago. This world tree is the only source of mana that people use in magic and combat, and it was said to have disappeared so that no one could find it no matter how they searched. Who would have believed that the very tree everyone sought had saved him? He placed his hand on its trunk and thanked it 1,000 times, then looked around and found no one. He sat to think what to do until a nearby door caught his eye. He told himself this door had not been on the dungeon map, so the guild must not have discovered this place before. Thinking of the dogs, he became tense. He gathered his courage, took up a stone, and moved on. He walked until he found the door and thought, surely this is the exit. Before he could rejoice, a sword descended and cut off his ear. Then his fingers were severed. He looked and saw a rank S monster before him wielding a weapon. It lashed out and inflicted deep wounds. He could not move a single step. Just as he thought he might escape, the monster was about to finish him when a giant bear of higher rank tore the monster apart and pressed on. Ain was frozen with terror. The bear struck his face and eyes until he lost sight and motion. The bear lifted him and crushed him so hard his body seemed to splinter. All that had happened seemed a futile rescue, when suddenly a girl appeared and slew the bear with a single blow, saying, "This is not for you. She was summoned to save you." Ian fainted, then regained consciousness to find himself without any wound, his sight restored though its color had changed. Before him stood that beautiful girl. He felt as if reborn into another life, unable to believe such beauty existed. She smiled lightly. Then a voice called to him, "Ain, are you trembling like that?" A woman handed him a cup of tea and said, "My daughter made this for you. Drink it at once, and do not refuse what my daughter made." The girl offered him the tea. He drank it hastily and asked who she was. The woman grasped him firmly, placed her hand upon him and warned, "If you even think an evil thought, I'll cut you off." The girl's name was Yaoi, and she had been the one who saved him. The woman was Ursula, guardian of the world tree. Ursula told him, "My daughter insisted that I help you, and had she not, I would not have rescued a worthless boy like you, so you must thank my daughter until you die." Ain thanked Yaoi for what she had done, and her cheeks flushed red with embarrassment. Before he could say more, a man appeared before him, and Ursula's expression made it clear she was about to show him days of darkness. Ursula then explained that there were 9 world trees scattered across existence, and Yaoi was one of them, with guardians to protect them from any threat. Ain looked at Yaoi and said, "It's no wonder. You are the spirit of the world tree. I saw you only moments ago, and here you are again." He apologized awkwardly, saying, "Forgive me for that cheap remark." Ursula struck him down with scorn, warning him not to speak obscenely before the girl. Ain insisted, "Wait, I must ask. Wasn't my eye completely destroyed by the bear? And wasn't my life ended as well? How am I whole now?" Ursula answered, "We used the water dripping from the world tree to heal you, but as for your eye, we fashioned an artificial one from a small piece of the tree's trunk, and let me tell you, it holds tremendous power." She added that all of this was because of Yaoi, who had pleaded for his healing. Ain turned to Yaoi and asked why she had done this for him. She replied, "There's only one simple reason, because you thanked me when I saved you." Ursula added, "For the record, It's rare that anyone remains here and survives. Yori saves them all, but none ever thank her. The moment they discover she is the world tree, they cut branches from her and leave. That is why she was glad when you thanked her. Ain thanked her again, and Ursula said sharply, enough of that. Yori protested, saying the outside world was too dangerous, and Ain could not leave yet. Ursula replied, what am I to do? My vow is to protect you, and I cannot leave your side. Moreover, teleportation magic does not work here. Yori began to cry, knowing Ain would be torn apart the moment he stepped outside alone. Ursula then said, so he matters this much to you? Then I have no choice but one. Prepare yourself, boy. I will train you until you can leave on your own. Ain's spirit burned with determination. I will not fail you. Ursula led him into the dungeons for training. Ain nervously asked, you won't just throw me into a battle and abandon me, will you? She pointed to a dark spot ahead and asked, what do you see there? He answered, nothing. She retorted, how can you see nothing? Use your new eye. Ain closed his eye, then opened it again, and a corridor appeared before him. Ursula said, your training has begun. She hurled a wooden block at a sleeping rank S monster, rousing it to rage. Ursula instructed, you must evade all of its attacks. This is the first step to using your appraisal skill. Ain replied, what use is appraisal now? Ursula said, that was in the past, before your new eye. The monster lunged at him. He appraised it and smiled. But in the next instant the creature swung its weapon and severed his ear. Ursula raised a barrier of world tree water and healed him, saying coldly, don't worry. No matter how many times you're torn apart, I'll heal you again. We don't have time to waste. She shattered the barrier and sent him back against the beast. This time, when Ain appraised it, something strange occurred. Time seemed to slow, and the appraisal revealed exactly how the monster would strike. He moved, dodged the attack, and succeeded. Joy surged through him. He had evaded the strike of a rank S monster. Yet the beast came again from behind, slashing his back. Ain rose once more, gritting his teeth. I must succeed. If I master the power of this eye, nothing will ever stand against me again. Again and again he tried, until finally he managed to dodge every strike. Ursula said, now for the second test. Enough evasion. This time, you will defeat it. She handed him a sword and declared, this blade is from Yori. Imagine the pain she felt when she brought it here for you. If it breaks, I will break you. Ain gripped the sword as the monster charged. He appraised its movements, predicting the blow, but his strike missed. He tried again, but still no success. Just when it seemed hopeless, he invoked a new ability, appraising the monster's path itself. At last he could see its every motion. As the beast attacked, Ain struck true, a single blow ending it. He exulted, thrilled with his triumph, but Ursula struck him and said, your path is still long. Defeat the rest of these monsters as well. From the shadows, more creatures emerged. Ain steeled himself, gathering his strength, and one by one he felled them all until the floor was littered with their bodies. For the first time, Ain stood tall, stronger than ever before. Julene said to him, come, let us go to the second lesson. But Ursula interrupted, saying, there is something I want to teach you first. You will appraise these monsters and seize their abilities with your new eye. Ain, astonished, replied, what kind of brilliance is this? He tried the ability, and the moment he grasped it, he felt as though his head would burst. He began to run and found himself moving with unbelievable speed. He realized this was utter devastation. Not only could he appraise his foes, but he could also take their powers. At first, his body could not endure such velocity, but after many attempts, falling and rising again, he eventually adapted. He then appraised Ursula and acquired her ability, which was to unleash magical attacks instantly without chanting incantations. Yet his problem remained that his mana was nearly non-existent. Thus, under the training of Ursula and Yori, a mixture of harshness and tenderness, his energy gradually increased. At last Ursula declared, that is enough for now. What do you say to a match of vengeance? Ain answered with fiery spirit. Let's begin. She took him back into the dungeons to face the death bear that had once torn him to pieces. Ain trembled with tension, and Ursula kicked him, shouting, why do you think I trained you? Go, finish him. A flood of memories returned. Every moment of weakness, every humiliation. Ain roared, the old Ain is dead. His spirit ignited. He charged at the bear, casting fire magic, but missed. He activated his speed, appraised the bear's movements, and unleashed wind magic. The bear grew enraged and counterattacked. Ain struck again with fire magic, and this time, he incinerated the beast entirely. He absorbed the abilities of the Death Bear, which had been rank S+. Ursula remarked, since you have defeated the one who once destroyed you, you are ready to walk your path. Your training is finished. They returned to Yaoi, and Ursula spoke with disdain. My daughter requested that I give you a gift, but with that face, how can you deserve it? She then produced the core of the World Tree's spirit. Ain protested, no, this is too much, I cannot accept it. Ursula replied, do not worry, you will only borrow it. I have cast a spell upon you. Should you die, it will bring you back here. Close your eyes so I can plant it within you. She embedded the core into his eye. Ain looked around for Yaoi, but she was gone. Then her voice came. I am here. I emerged from your eye. Ursula explained that she had implanted the World Tree's core within him, making him akin to the tree itself, and Yaoi could now travel between them. Yaoi said softly, I will accompany you. Whenever you are weary or wounded, I will heal you. Ain asked, Ursula, do you have no objection? She flared with emotion and answered, on my honor, boy, I agree. But know this, Yaoi, since her birth, has had no friends, no companions, always alone with only me. That is why when she is with you, I can entrust her safely. Then she extended her hand and said, another gift. She cast upon him the spell of infinite storage, handed him a sword, and made him swallow her own core as well, so she could watch everything he did and remain close. She warned with a glare, if you dare think a single evil thought toward my daughter, I will cut you down. Ain turned to Yaoi and asked, what is the one thing you wish to do when we leave here? She answered, I want only one thing, to meet my family, my siblings, the rest of the trees. Ursula added, once there was a single world tree, but it split into 9. Ain said to Yaoi, then I shall live to fulfill your dream, for that is the least I can do after all you have done for me. They continued through the dungeons, Ursula guiding their way. They encountered a colossal mushroom, but it was torn apart in seconds, and Ain seized its ability, the corrosive poison. He pressed onward until he stood before a massive gate, behind which surely lay the dungeon boss, the one he must defeat to reach the surface. Ain declared to himself, the old Ain is finished. He entered, and before him lay the core of the dungeon. If he destroyed it, the dungeon would collapse forever. No one would ever reach Yaoi's tree again, and she would no longer need protection. But suddenly, a spell beneath his feet activated, unleashing a massive monster that attacked at once. The beast nearly crushed him, but Ain evaded, transforming his hand into stone. The monster struck, but Ain blocked and melted its hand away. The creature went berserk, swinging wildly with its other arm. Yet Ain dodged every blow, taking cover behind a boulder. Then he emerged, invoking a new spell Ursula had taught him. With a single strike, the monster dissolved completely. Cries of awe resounded. Incredible, Ain! What magnificence is this? After that, Ain appraised the monster and absorbed its powers, while Ursula approached the dungeon core and handed it to him so his level would increase even further. Thus the dungeon was finally cleared and Ain and his companions ascended to the surface. Elsewhere, Zoid was sitting inside the guild with his comrades, boasting about how difficult the dungeon had been when he entered it with Julene and Ain. He told them, do not forget, my friends, that Ain sacrificed his life to save Julene and me. I will never forget his sacrifice. He was the bravest man I have ever seen. He lied, believing that the howls of the hunting dogs had consumed Ain, and that no one would ever know the truth. Pitiful liar, so wretched in his deceit. Suddenly, while drowning in his lies, he heard a voice behind him. And who has died? It was Ain himself, standing alive before them. Zoid froze and stammered. How did you return? Were you not supposed to die there? Ain replied calmly. I returned simply, walked back after defeating all the monsters inside. Zoid snapped, you liar! How could you defeat them all alone? But the people looked at him in disbelief. Isn't he the one who saved you? Shouldn't you be rejoicing that he lives? Then Ain revealed the truth. Julene and Zoid cast a paralysis spell on me and abandoned me as bait for the hunting dogs. The people gathered around Zoid, pelting him with whatever they held, and no one could tolerate him any longer. Ain raised his hand and said, enough. I live, and that is enough. Then he turned to Zoid and said, thank you for everything. And he left. Afterwards, he returned with Ursula and Yaoi to another dungeon, where they defeated its boss, and Ain's eye evolved even further. As they walked, Ain said to Yaoi, I am sorry. We did not find any of your siblings in this dungeon. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the halls. Ain sprinted toward the sound and annihilated every monster in his way, as if they were nothing. There he found a girl and a young man under attack. The girl saw Ain, ran straight into his arms and cried, at last I found you. You are my hero. That girl was Claudia, princess of the kingdom, and the young man with her was Jasper, the master of the largest trading company. Jasper brought them back to his mansion to thank them. They all sat together. Claudia expressed her gratitude to Ain and Yori, then cheerfully declared, now that the formalities are over, and rushed again to embrace Ain. But Yori intervened sharply. You cannot, he is my husband. Claudia smiled playfully and said, do not worry. I will be his second wife. The law permits 4, does it not? Jasper then sat beside Ain and said jokingly, forgive me, but I too have a request. Will you marry me? Ain almost hurled his cup at him but restrained himself with effort, replying, no, that path is not mine. May God keep us far from sin. Jasper then led them into the cellar of his palace, into a chamber filled with jewels. This is my passion, he said, collecting and preserving gems. I was joking earlier about marriage, but I know your left eye contains the core of the world tree, and that is why I wish to remain close to you, to safeguard that eye. Ain looked at him suspiciously and asked, I do not trust you. Tell me, what do you know about the locations of the other world trees? Jasper replied, I know a few, but every one of them lies in places of great danger. Ain said firmly, never mind the danger, just tell me the locations, and I will handle the rest. Jasper then sent him to the first of those dungeons. Its exterior loomed ominously, like the entrance to a tomb. Ain said to Yori, I hope after all this we find some of your kin within. Yori slipped once more inside his eye, and Ain continued until he reached a sealed wall. Ursula told him, this wall is woven with magic. Touch it, and you will enter the dungeon. Ain placed his hand upon it, and suddenly everything around him shifted. He found himself in the heart of a vast forest. A young girl's voice called out to Yori, welcome back. It has been so long since we last met. It was Bina, Yori's younger sister, watching them through a magical crystal. Yori asked her where she was, and Bina answered, I await you at the far edge of the forest. Come quickly without delay, and bring our elder brother with you. Ain was astonished. Your sister came all this way for you. Then why not use teleportation and bring me to you? But Bina shook her head. I cannot. I want you both to walk through my forest. I have placed traps and monsters along the path to test you. So tread carefully. I cannot promise you will reach me alive. Ain turned to Yori and said, return to your place. This path will be dangerous. She obeyed, and then Ain spoke to Bina. Do not worry. Consider this dungeon already destroyed. Bina's eyes lit with joy as she said, then I will reveal your true self before Yori. Ain could not understand why she singled him out with such hostility. As he was about to step into a pit, Ursula warned him, and he avoided it just in time. Bina's shock was clear. From then on, he passed every trap and every carnivorous plant without falling once. Bina finally broke down, exclaiming, I exhausted myself creating all this, and you did not fall into even one of them. Then she added bitterly, but no matter, a monster will appear now. You would be wiser to surrender. Yet did she truly believe Ain would surrender? Never. After that, Ain found before him a monster half tree and half human, its appraisal releasing a smoke of hypnosis, yet it had no effect on Ain, for he was immune to such tricks. He drew his blade, advanced, and with a single strike, cut the monster in two. What astonishing power! He absorbed its skills, but suddenly unseen strikes lashed out at him. Ursula said, do not worry, I have appraised the monsters attacking you. He invoked gravity magic and hurled them all to the ground. Still, Bina clung to the hope that he might stumble into one of her traps, so she sent forth 2 more monsters, but Ain cleaved both in a single blow. Meanwhile, far from Ain within the dungeon, Zoid was drowning in misery, muttering to himself, all of this is because of that garbage collector. It is all his fault, he meant Ain. He then went to the guild, and as soon as he entered, silence fell. None could bear his presence. He saw Julene sitting with 2 others and called out, where have you been all this time? She snapped, do not come near me. Then she told the people that Zoid was the one who cast the spell on Ain, and abandoned him as bait. He tried to defend himself, insisting it was Julene who had done it, but Julene burst into tears, saying, he threatened me to do it. I never wished to harm Ain. The crowd believed her, dragged Zoid outside and shouted, no one wants you in any team again. With despair pressing down, he said, there is only one way left. I will take on a great quest alone and restore my ruined name. He entered a dungeon, which by chance was the very same dungeon where Ain fought. By mistake, he placed his hand upon the wall and it pulled him into the forest inside. Terrified, he whispered to himself, I must continue. I must restore my name, and I will have my revenge on Ain. But the very first step he took hurled him into a trap of spikes, almost killing him, only for him to find himself ejected outside the dungeon, the traps designed to expel those on the brink of death. Yet he did not surrender. He re-entered, stumbling into nearly every trap that Bina had laid. At last, he reached a lake where a colossal crocodile awaited. At the sight of it, he nearly lost his wits. He drew his sword, but the beast lunged and hurled him down, ready to finish him. Just as he thought his end had come, Ain appeared in that very moment and split the crocodile in two. Zoid, stunned, stammered, "You here? Garbage collector, how did you gain such powers?" But Ain ignored his taunts, healed him with Yori's abilities, and said calmly, "Be well, my friend. I am in a hurry." Zoid tried to answer, but Ain cast a sleep spell on him and told Bina, "Remove him from here." Ain pressed forward until he reached a massive gate, believing it to conceal the dungeon boss. But when he entered, he was still within the forest. Nothing had changed. Suddenly the ground beneath him shook, and he was lifted into the air as a colossal turtle emerged from the earth. Without hesitation, Ain unleashed fire magic, raining down attack after attack, but to his shock, the turtle remained unharmed. Then it was her turn. She struck back, and Ain countered with his magic, believing he had bested her. But no, the flames in the strike never touched her at all, as if absorbed into the ground around her. Realizing the truth, Ain descended, letting the turtle step upon him, and yet he remained untouched. In that moment, the illusion was broken, and she revealed her true form. After all this, Bina softened and guided them along the path that led to Yori. As soon as Yori saw her sister, she ran to her and embraced her. Bina said, "I wish to come with you." Yori did not object, nor did Ain. Then the small turtle descended and transformed into a girl. She was the guardian of Bina, named Kuromi. Ursula froze upon seeing her, for she had once been her teacher. She addressed her with utmost respect, her voice subdued, as none dared interrupt. Thereafter, Bina placed her core, along with Kuromi's, into Ain's magical eye so they could accompany him. Joy filled him as he saw Yori happy to reunite with her sister, and he vowed, "I must help her meet the rest of her 6 siblings." At the same time, Zoid awoke outside the dungeon, bitter and crushed that Ain had saved him. He wept in fury. "That man, who once was nothing but a garbage collector in our dungeons, has now surpassed me completely." The next day, Jasper brought Ain with him to the guild headquarters in the capital. Ain was reluctant, fearing the people's words about him, but Jasper assured him, "As long as I am by your side, none will dare speak." And indeed, when they arrived, the people's eyes widened, for Jasper was a renowned wealthy man. Whispers spread, "Who is that standing with him?" The receptionist stepped forward to greet Jasper, and he said, "Today I am here to accompany this young man." She asked, "How may I help you?" Ain replied, "I have some items gathered from the dungeon. I wish to sell them." She said, "Certainly. May I see your guild card?" He handed it to her, and when she read the name and reached the appraisal rank, she gasped in shock. His rank was D, the very lowest, and his listed profession was nothing more than appraiser. Ain becomes the target of ridicule, and the girl tells him there is no resident who can defeat a single monster. Those around him soon begin to taunt him for his rank, saying, "Surely he used to work for Jasper. He summons the very monsters they once defeated." They collide among themselves and whisper, "He must have stolen them long ago. These things cannot be his people. Change your words." Another replies, "No, it's impossible for someone from the common class to possess such things." Aim grows sad and says, "That is why I did not want to come to the guild." At that moment, the guildmaster Megan enters, and everyone falls silent at once. Megan approaches Ain and says to him calmly, "Your eyes are beautiful. Take it easy. Slow down." The receptionist also witnessed the scene and confirmed that these things were real. Jasper tells them, "Everyone, I assure you, he is the one who defeated those monsters." Megan says to the receptionist, "We'll settle your account later. Since when do we judge people by their jobs?" At that moment, Aim finally smiles because he has found someone on his side. One of them replies, "I am glad to have found someone like you here." That man tightened his grip and said to him, "I love ambitious youth. It seems we shall meet again soon." Then she turns away and walks off. Jasper tells Ain, "Take out the rest of the items you have, the secret Damas things." Everyone there set upon the youth, so he burst out through the crowd and went home. At night he sat with Cairo and asked her about the remaining sisters. She answered, We know nothing of them, their whereabouts or anything. All we know is that 6 sisters remain, and I suspect there is a 7th sister. He asked her, how so? She replied, as I told you, I suspect their eldest sister lives somewhere with her guardian, but we will only find that after we find the other sisters first. Then search for her. He said to her, the problem is I do not know other places where I might find these sisters. She told him, you tire too quickly. You will not search again. He replied, impossible. Of course I will search. I owe Yuri my life twice, and I will help her find her sisters no matter what happens. The next morning, upon waking, Ain finds Megan at their house. She says to him, I missed you. I came to visit you with ease. Jasper was sitting with her, and Megan told him she wanted a favor from him. Ain asked, why me? Are there not others in the guild? Megan replied, no one but you can accomplish this. Do you know anything about Behemoth? He asked, what is that? A spell or something? She explained, Behemoth is one of the ancient dragons that the Demon King once commanded. It was brought into the human world. After the Demon King was sealed, the dragon hid and no one knew its location. But recently, it has begun to reappear and attack the merchants crossing the desert. I want to officially appoint you to eliminate Behemoth the dragon once and for all. By the way, this dragon is rated SS. I have never encountered anything like it before. Jasper said to him, my son, this mission could cost you your life, and I know you do not like to show yourself before people. Ain replied, do not worry everyone. I will accept the mission and I will rid you of the dragon. Megan said to him, you son of the town, the responsibility is in your hands. He then set out at once toward the desert, specifically to the place where the dragon was rumored to have been seen. On the way, Ursula tells him, this is a dangerous dragon. It absorbs your spells and turns them into its own power, and it spends the day hidden beneath the earth. Our protagonist grips his sword and strikes powerfully with magic to lure the dragon out. Indeed, the ground begins to tremble, and the dragon emerges, saying, who is the fool that dares wake me this morning? Its appearance is terrifying and immense. It says to him, no one has ever defeated me before. I have had overwhelming power since I was born, and you honestly look foolish. Why do you want to die here? Our hero replies, I will tell you 2 things. My name is Ain, and the second is that I have come to destroy you, you scourge. The dragon laughs and says to him, you think you can rival me? You seem a fool. Have you come to meet your end here? The dragon began its assault with blazing fire against Ain, yet our hero evaded every strike as if they were nothing. The beast stirred the sands of the desert, sending them rushing toward Ain, but Ain charged forward with his sword, and with a single strike, severed the dragon's arm. Shocked, the dragon cried, never before has anyone landed a single blow upon me in all my life. Ain replied, give me all you have. Your defense is weak to begin with. The dragon sank beneath the earth, leaving Ain astonished, wondering where it had gone. Suddenly it erupted from below, fixing its gaze upon him as though it were his end. But no, that was not the end. The dragon's body exploded, its remains scattering, devastation spreading across the land. An onlooker, awestruck, cried out, boy, how did you accomplish this? Ain answered, I did nothing. I unleashed all my magic while inside you. I knew your hide absorbed spells, but surely your inner body did not. At first I provoked you to lower your guard, and you reacted exactly as I expected. The dragon admitted, you have achieved a feat no one before you has ever done, before vanishing from the place. Yori asked, what is wrong with you? You are still victorious. Ain replied, if this dragon had continued to assault humans and no one could ever stop it, what would have been my fate had I not met you? Yori answered, it was wicked and harmed people, but you are entirely different. Ain then absorbed the dragon's skills and returned to the royal palace. Claudia met them there and told her father she wished for him to see Ain. When the king entered, Ain trembled, but the king said, there is no need for such ceremony, my son. Sitting, he added, I am pleased to see my daughter's future husband before me. Ain answered, command me as you will, my lord. The king said, I summoned you before others because I learned that you defeated the dragon that obstructed trade. I wish to thank you for this, and also because you once saved my daughter in the forest, and because you ended the menace of Damas. I do not know what to thank you for first, my son, Ain humbly replied. Do not thank me. Thank Yori. She healed your daughter when we saved her, and without her, I could have done nothing. The king thanked Yori as well, then said to Ain, you are among the good people of this land, and I hope to see you grow even more. He gave him a medal bearing the kingdom's emblem and said, You may use this wherever you go. Ain thought that this gift would aid him in finding the rest of Yori's family. Meanwhile, in the town, the people spoke of the hero who had slain the Demon King's dragon alone. Zoid heard these words, yet he remained the same, still treated with the contempt he deserved. He remembered how, not long ago, he was stronger than the weakling they now praised, how he had forced him to carry his gear and follow behind him, and how they once believed that weakling had died in Damas. But everything changed when suddenly he heard a voice before him. A girl stood there saying, "My name is Echidna. I wander like the spirits who walk with Ain." Confusion spread. It was not just Echidna, but the eldest sister of Yori. Zoid asked, "What is happening exactly? I want you to continue with us so I may know the rest of the tale." He then asked her, "And do you want something from me?" She replied, "Nothing. I sense that you hate that boy Ain, so I simply wish to help you. Nothing more, so you may have your revenge upon him." He asked, "How?" She smiled and said, "Very simple. Do you know of something called the Eye of Spirits?" He replied, "No. I have never heard of it." She told him, "It is like the one Ain bears. How else do you think his strength grew so quickly? Do you not desire an eye like his?" Zoid pleaded, "By all means, if you can do this, then do it. Give me such an eye, even if it looks hideous." She rejoiced and planted it into his skull, and the boy transformed into a massive, grotesque, terrifying creature. At that same time, Ain was lying ill and asleep in Jasper's manor. Yori and Bina decided to cook something to help him recover. Bina said, "Let us go down to the market and buy a few things." Yet in truth, Ain was not merely exhausted. He was dreaming of the days of weakness, when Zoid forced him to do everything. He remembered the cruelty of that past, and felt that what befell him then was deserved. He recalled the hunting dogs that had once attacked him, and thought that would have been his fate had he not met Yori. In his dream, Ursula appeared as a dark version of himself, saying, "Indeed, that was your fate, but you were lucky to have seized the spirit core. Do not think you are strong by yourself. Do not forget your origin. You will remain a wretch all your life." Ain awoke in terror and found Roselle at his side. He asks her if she is all right, and she replies, "Nothing. I only dreamed a nightmare." She asks, "A nightmare?" He answers, "If I had not met you and Yori, what would have become of me? I would have been food for the hunting dogs. All that happened to me was nothing but luck. I am here because of the power I gained from you, but my origin has not changed. I am still the same, a wretch." This weighs heavily on Ursula, but she cannot speak. We return now to Zoid, who dwelt in the land of corruption, destroying everything in his path. He sees Julin and goes to her. There was a man standing beside her, drawing his sword, and Zoid rushed to strike him down. Then he said to her, "What will you do now? No one will protect you from me." She pleaded, "I am sorry for all that has happened. I can tell the guild the truth without lies. Only please, let me live." Before she could finish, he had already ended her plea, and returned to wreak havoc in the city, continuing his destruction. Yori and Bina see the people fleeing. Yori rushes to the wounded to heal them. At that moment, a voice commands, "Enough playing. End Yori and Bina first." Zoid charges at Yori and is about to strike her, but Bina raises a barrier to block the blow and seizes Yori to escape. Zoid smashes the barrier and runs after them. Bina forms another barrier, but he breaks it instantly and hurls her aside. Yori rushes to shield her sister, clinging to her, and he was about to finish her. He says, "You are foolish for giving Ain that power. Now you will die because of him." Do you think that will happen while Ain is here? Of course not. Our hero appears and saves her, forcing them into his sight and declaring, "Finish him." He tries to strike, but nothing appears. Zoid attacks Ain, yet the boy blocks it and casts him away. Zoid does not stop and attacks again, but it is useless. Ain blocks all his assaults. Echidna watches from high above and says, "You will die now." Zoid snarls at Ain, "Is this all you have, garbage collector?" Then Ain realizes it is Zoid. Zoid says, "I abandoned weakness. The Eye of Spirits evolved in me just like you." Our hero falters, and Zoid lands a blow, sending him flying. He is about to strike again, but Ain retreats. Roselle warns him, "If you do not finish him, he will finish you." Ain climbs to the rooftop of a building, Zoid following, saying, "I never thought you had all this power. Yet you are strange. You do not use it for your own gain. Look at Julin. She laughed at me and betrayed me. I ended her with this power. All I suffered before is now nothing. Surely you want revenge on me too, for bullying you and abandoning you in Damascus. But let me tell you something important. You should have taken your revenge long ago." Ain replies, "No, I never wish to take revenge on you." Yet his dark self appears beside him again, whispering, "You are lying. You thought of revenge. Everyone laughed at you because you are from the poor common class. You and this monster are the same now." Ain wavers, unable to resist the words of his dark self or those of Zoid. His shadow sneers, "We are alike." Yaoi intervenes, saying, "That is not true at all. He is a kind and strong man who never sought revenge against anyone." Ursula also appears and tells him, "You did not become strong just because you met someone. You became strong because you cleansed yourself from within. It is enough that you use your power to protect those in need. You never harmed anyone. Unlike them," Yaoi adds, "the reason I am here, the reason I found my family, is you." In that moment, Ain awakens within himself and declares, "Yes, they helped me, but you and I will never be the same." His strength doubles and a torrent of magic bursts forth. Zoid attacks again, but Ain blocks the strike and casts him far away. Zoid returns to strike once more, but Ain forms a barrier stronger than any before. Zoid expends all his power and charges again, but Ain grips his sword and says, "You will pay the price for what you have done." With a single strike of his blade, he shatters the Eye of Spirits within Zoid. What a sight! Zoid had thought he would end Ain, yet Ain's heart remained merciful. He saves Zoid from himself and delivers him to the guards to face justice. Ain says, "Surely someone exploited Zoid's weakness and turned him into this monster. Who did it, and why?" Later that night, Echidna appears, saying, "Everything I planned has begun exactly as I desired. Now I have measured Ain's strength, but soon all of this will end, and I will once more free the Demon King from his seal of evil." She then ascends to the Queen of Demons, where she meets Baron Falco, half man half bird as you see him. He asks her, "What brings you here?" She answers, "Nothing. I merely bring you a message from the Demon King." She opens the letter and says to him, "I want you to kill that young man." It is Ain. He asks, "Even if the Demon King himself wants me to do it, why should I bear this alone? What concern is it of mine?" She answers, "That boy overstepped his bounds and slew the dragon Behemoth." He replies, "If that is the case, then let us teach him some manners. Who does he think he is?" The witch responds, "That is why I always rely on you. This mission is extremely dangerous for us as the Demon Kingdom. The entire kingdom is entrusted to your hands, hero." He answers, "5 minutes only, and I shall return after ending him." He opens a gate to the human world and flies out, harboring only malice. At that moment, Ain stood upon his balcony, when Baron Falco appeared before him and said, "I am Baron Falco, one of the 5 highest ranks among the demons. I have come to end you." Ain answered mockingly, "Enough with the double talk. The people are asleep. You will wake them." The Baron was stunned. Who dared to speak to him this way? He lunged forward, seeking to tear him apart with his claws, but a single slap from Ain sent him flying. The Baron could not comprehend what had happened. Ain followed him, saying, "Is not the title of Baron one of the lowest? What is this empty confidence?" Then he struck him once more, smashing him into the ground, ending him. Ain descended and assessed his power, saying, "He came to kill me, but he would never have been able to harm Yaoi or her sister." At that moment, Yaoi and Bina appeared, awakened and asking what had occurred. When they saw the Baron's body, Bina exclaimed, "What a sight! Become far stronger than before, perhaps even stronger than Ursula, who trained you." Upon hearing this, Ursula grew furious and lunged at him in anger. The next day, Ain went to the forbidden library within the royal castle where he met Claudia. She said, "This is a vast library, but it is reserved for the royal family only. Yet since you hold the medallion given by the king, you may enter. The only condition is that the librarian must approve your entry." Claudia added, "I cannot do anything more for you." Ain answered, "Do not worry," and passed through the door to meet the librarian. Yaoi attempted to follow him, but a barrier stopped her, meaning the librarian had accepted only Ain. He advanced and found himself before an immense collection of books. He said, "What is all this? Even if I searched for a year, I would not find what I need." Suddenly, a girl fell from above. He ran and caught her before she struck the ground. He asked, "Are you all right?" She rose and thanked him, saying her name was Alice. She explained that she had been reading and fell suddenly. It turned out Alice was the librarian. She asked him, "What do you seek?" He answered, "I want books about the secret dungeons surrounding us." She asked, "Why do you need them?" He replied, "I want to help someone dear to me find her family." She handed him a book and said, "You will find what you need in this." Ain took the book joyfully. Alice then asked, "How is Yaoi now?" Surprised, he asked, "How do you know her?" She replied, "Your colored eyes hold her core. I know Yaoi because she is like my spirit. I too am a tree spirit." What amazement! One of Yori's sisters had been found so easily. Her guardian Akame appeared, thanking Ain. "Thank you for making my daughter happy." Ain looked at her and said, "And where is the happiness in this?" Then he asked about Yori and Bina outside, but Akane said, "They cannot come with you. This library is not in the castle at all, but exists in a separate dimension. A gate within the castle links to it, but it is special. Only humans may pass. This is because the library contains all the kingdom's secrets, and in exchange for guarding it, we may use it and read from it. But if you want Alice to meet her sisters, you must reach the secret dungeon and come directly here." Ain asked Alice, "Why do you not wish to see your sisters?" She did not answer. He told her, "I understand. You are afraid to leave. Do not worry. Everything new frightens us at first, but I will always stay by your side and protect you. No matter how long it takes, I promise I will take you to your sisters and protect you. Whatever happens, I only want you to trust me a little. I will leave you to think on it while I go and look for the place of the dungeon in the book I took." Alice was shaken by his words. She wished to go but remained hesitant. Ain left with the book, and when Yori and her sister learned of it, they wanted to meet their sibling. Ain told them, "Do not worry, I will try again with her. I will go back to her and persuade her. I too want her to come out and meet you." But it seemed Alice had given them the wrong book, one that led to a false address. At that time, Alice was watching them through a crystal when her guardian asked her, "Why did you give him the wrong book? Do you not want to meet your sisters?" Alice replied, "I am afraid of interacting with other people. I have no ability to fight. I would only be a burden on them. And besides, I do not like humans at all." The guardian told her, "But Ain is not like them, and you do not have to go out with him yet. Wait until he finds our dungeon. Still, to be honest, it seems you admire him. It shows clearly on your face. Why not try trusting him? You have nothing to lose. Do you even have anything to lose at all? And if anything happens, you can always return." At that very moment, Ain entered again, and Aki said, "Be brave," and pushed her toward him. Alice stepped forward and said to him, "I trust you. Take me with you so I may meet my sisters." Ain lifted her and flew with her toward the dungeon where her core was kept. Akahani gave him the core, and they set out on their path to leave the dungeon. Ain and Akahani faced any monster that crossed their way and defeated them, until our hero reached the leader of the cavern, a massive knight clad in armor. Ain challenged him, throwing aside his sword. The knight said, "Do you think you alone will be chivalrous? I too will throw my sword." Yet with a single strike, Ain cast him down helplessly. How magnificent Ain was. After that, he gathered them and led them out of the dungeon toward the castle. When Yori and Bina saw Alice, they rushed toward her, though she was not fond of much contact. Yori instead flung herself at Ain and embraced him, thanking him for allowing her to meet her elder sister Alice, who was radiant with joy, and it seemed there was a hidden challenge among the sisters concerning Ain, who would remain with him and continue onward, that we shall learn later. The next day, Ain sat in the castle pondering his next move, when Megan came from behind and placed her hand on his shoulder, as though there were a strange bond between them. She sat with him and Jasper said, "The king wants you for an official mission," Megan explained. "Long ago, the demons were expelled from the human world when the heroes raised a wall between their realm and that of the demons, yet recently there has been a great increase of their presence in a region called Rashik. And your mission, Ain, is to eliminate the demons who spread corruption there." Ain answered, "I truly wish to help you." But Ursula appeared beside him and said, "Our purpose lies in a completely different direction. We cannot go there. And why should we help strangers at all?" Ain replied, "I was a stranger to you and Yori when you helped me. I know the feeling of despair and fear that people feel when they face an enemy stronger than themselves. I lived that way all my life, and I am here now because you helped me once, so I wish to return the favor and help others as well." Then Yori and the rest of the group said, "We are with you." Ain turned to Jasper and Megan and said, "I accept the mission." Meanwhile, in Rashik itself, a large crowd of people were walking through the forest with a little girl among them. The girl said to her father, "I am hungry." He told her, "Just wait a little longer. We are on our way to a place where you will eat food far more delicious than this." The girl rejoiced and said, "A place like the paradise where my mother is?" He replied, "Exactly like that." They reached an abandoned place and the girl said, "This is the place." Her father answered, "Yes, this is it." Suddenly the earth trembled and everyone fell to the ground, and a man cried out, "Hurry and bring the offering." The girl's father urged her, "Go. That beast will take you to the place I told you about." She replied, "Very well, but will you not come with me?" He said, "No, I cannot come this time." She comforted him, "It is all right, but when my mother went to paradise you wept a great deal. I beg you, do not cry again." Her eyes filled with tears in a heartbreaking scene, and she added, "Do not cry. I will not be there to wipe your tears." Her father sobbed as well. Then the girl stepped forward toward the beast, which spoke to them. "You are late." The creature was immense, with 8 heads and a terrifying aspect. The girl begged, "Please take me quickly." Her father rushed at her and tried to hold her, saying, "I cannot leave you." The villagers wept and murmured that they had all agreed this was the only way to save the village. The father pleaded, "Please take me with my daughter. Do not abandon me." The beast answered as if reminding them, "Have you forgotten your pact with me? You hand over a girl to me each month so that I do not destroy your village. Since you kept your end of the bargain, I too must keep mine." The beast then breathed a gaseous mist that struck the people and felled them. As the monster prepared to seize the girl, Ain arrived at that moment and erected a barrier that the beast could not breach, while Yaoi rushed to tend to the wounded. Ain shouted to the people, "Run, leave this beast to me." He drew his sword and with a single stroke severed the creature, its body scattering into pieces, and the crowd stood stunned by what had occurred, then praised Ain for his deed. Ain told them, "I wish to see the ruler of this region." At his request, the villagers bowed their heads in shame. And one of them said, "We are grateful for what you have done. We would have died without you. Yet we cannot assist you in that request, my son." The little girl ran to Ain, crying, "I do not know how to thank you." Ain reassured her, "Do not worry. I came to protect that smile of yours. Go now, and we shall meet again." She walked away, and Ain resolved that he must indeed meet the regional governor. The next morning he went to the governor's palace. The governor himself received him, accompanied by a young man named Negum, and the governor said, "It is an honor to meet the slayer of dragons." They offered Ain a drink, and then the governor asked about demons that had recently appeared in his lands. Negum scoffed, "Demons? Number. We border a forest that contains many monsters from time to time, but I have seen nothing of that sort." The governor asked, "Who sent you to reassure us? Are there truly demons?" Ain answered, "Do not trouble yourselves. I will remain a while to check on the people. They are deeply worried. By the way, I defeated a creature called the Hydra that was abducting and devouring children." At those words, Negum was so astonished that the cup fell from his hand and he exclaimed, "You defeated whom? Our village has been under assault, and the Hydra was its guardian." Ain shouted back, "That Hydra was snatching and eating the small children." Naim replied in a cool, composed voice, "If the price of the village's protection is a single sacrifice, then so it is. We had no choice. As for you, once you slew your foe, your role here was done. What are we to do now? We will remain and protect the village for life." Ain left in turmoil, asking himself whether what he had done was wrong. He had not known the whole story, and wondered whether sacrificing one child to save many could be justified. Yaoi stepped forward and told him, "No, you did nothing wrong. The fault lies in his thinking." Elsewhere, Naim stood before a mirror and spoke to himself. "The Hydra is defeated. We must find a replacement quickly. What shall we do?" From the mirror emerged a figure resembling him who said calmly, "Be still. We can replace the Hydra easily, but first we must eliminate Ain." Negum asked, "Why?" The mirrored voice replied, "Do you think a human can defeat an SS-ranked dragon so easily? Impossible. Ain is not human. He is a demon. If you wish to protect your region, there is no choice but to rid yourselves of him." Naim hesitated and murmured, "Did I not tell you before not to do wrong? I am your companion, am I not?" The mirror's voice prevailed. "Understood, Shadow. Then we must get rid of Ain." After that, Shadow appeared, a demonic entity that had controlled Negum his whole life and now sought to take full possession of his body. Ain walked toward the city wall and found it utterly ruined, cracked and broken for years, with no guards in sight. He saw a woman walking by, stopped her to introduce himself and asked, "May I ask about this land? Who owns it?" The woman dropped what she carried and fled. Ain approached another man sitting alone and said, "Please, answer a few questions and do not run." The man replied, "You again? All the soldiers and guildmen who came before you did nothing. You are surely like them. Look at this land. Monsters ravaged it and spoiled all the crops after you slew the Hydra. We do not know whether we will die of hunger or be devoured by beasts first. All we want is a normal life. Take your things, boy, and return to your home." Ain did not speak. He cast his magic and the earth greened again. He moved to the crumbled walls and mended them by spell. The man stood aghast. "With this, the monsters cannot enter the village unless they bring flying creatures with them. If you need more, I will help. For God's sake, do not give up. Keep hope in your heart. Allow us to live. Let me help you, lad." He laughed and added, "This is the strangest plea I have ever heard. Before, the first came from our former governor, Nigon's father. Our village was attacked then as well. He came to me and said, "Do not surrender. If you die, I will not be able to help you." He was brave and kind and beloved by all. But everything fell apart when his son took the seat. The protective wall broke, the Hydra appeared, taxes crushed us, and those who complained to him never returned. Yet you, boy, have given me new hope for life. Ein brightened at those words. Suddenly, his magic eye revealed vast hordes of monsters marching toward the village. He did not flinch. "Even if there are 100,000 beasts, I will cut them down. Not one shall touch this village," he declared. When he saw the scale of their number, he grew startled. Yaoi asked, "What will you do?" He looked at the villagers and saw despair. Some reciting final prayers, some entrusting their children. He recalled the little girl he had once saved from the Hydra and told Yaoi, "Return to your place." Then he addressed the people. "Do not fear. Go back to your homes. Leave this to me." He rose high and unleashed a spellful strike, only to find the enemy in the thousands. Winged beasts dived at him. He dodged their swarms, assessed their strength, and cut down the first wave. He triggered a gravity spell that erased a second cluster. Not content, he multiplied himself into many copies, spun magical threads, and sliced more hordes apart. The villagers stood stunned at his deeds as he fought to protect them. Another pack surged forward. Ein channeled enchantment into his blade and rained a series of cleaving blows that tore them to pieces. Exhausted, he eventually collapsed to the ground. Yaoi hurried to tend him with healing magic. He rose again to see the little girl run into his arms, and the villagers overflowed with gratitude. "How long will he keep sacrificing himself for us?" one asked. "He barely knows our faces. We only complain of our fate and do nothing." Moved by his words, the people resolved to stand and fight by his side. "We will not let Nigon rule us again," they vowed. At that moment, Nigon himself appeared and demanded, "And what are you saying about me?" A villager answered plainly, "We no longer want you as our ruler." Nigon retorted, "Have you not seen that Ein deceives you? Do you not see that he is a demon? No ordinary man could do such feats." "Still, I will protect my village as I always have," the crowd shouted back. "Even if he is a demon, we prefer him to you. We do not want a ruler who sacrifices us. We want someone who fights for us as your father did." Hearing this, Nigon fell to the ground, feeling his mind split in two. He called for Shadow to aid him, but it was too late. Shadow's control had already begun. A tense exchange spun between them before Shadow seized full control. Nigon stammered, "What shall I do?" Shadow hissed, "Kill them all. There is no use in people who refuse to obey. Kill them as you killed your father." Nigon protested, "But my father was sick." Shadow answered, "I will tell you the whole truth." Memory flooded Nigon. Days of his childhood when his father lived and helped the people. How the whole village had loved the man. By contrast, children Nigon's age treated him as if he were ill, whispering that his sickness was contagious. They would not play with him. They left him alone and fled. And now the shadow that had always lurked in the mirror moved to claim him, ready to seize the body and bend it to its will. Nigon was in deep distress, running aimlessly through the houses until he collapsed before a small pool of water on the ground, sobbing in despair. In that moment, Shadow appeared before him for the very first time and said, "You do not have to be like your father. Be yourself." He convinced him that he was his friend, but warned him never to tell anyone of their bond. From that day on, they began to spend more and more time together, playing, laughing, and drawing closer to each other. One day, Shadow told him of a medicinal herb that, if given to his father, would restore his health. Nigon, desperate for hope, gathered the herb and prepared it for his father every day, believing he would see him recover before his eyes. But he did not know that he was slowly poisoning him. Eventually, his father died, and Nigon, paralyzed by shock, could not act. That was the moment Shadow exploited, tightening his grip over him little by little, until the moment we have now reached. Shadow mocked him. "You are the fool who ended your father's life with your own hands. I orchestrated it all." Crushed by despair, the boy surrendered, and Shadow seized complete control of his body. Ein stood there helpless, while Shadow declared, "I am one of the 5 demon nobles, and I am pleased to finally meet you, Dragon Slayer." Ein trembled with shock and demanded, "Where is Nigon?" Shadow sneered, "He is right before you, but he is suffering through a miserable time, and you are to blame for what became of him. We had been thriving, exploiting Nigon to weaken this region's defenses, until you arrived and ruined all of our plans. You left me no choice but to act myself. Do not mistake me for Falco, whom you dispatched in mere seconds. I know human weaknesses well. As long as I inhabit Nigon's body, you will not dare strike me, and on top of that, I shall end you as well. With that, Shadow lunged at Ain, but Ain evaded his strikes. He tried to imprison him within a magical barrier, but it proved useless against Shadow. He attempted again, pouring forth all his mana, but Shadow pressed relentlessly, summoning beasts from the earth to assault him. Ain did not falter. He drew his sword, and every beast that came near was struck down. He even created multiple clones of himself to hold back the horde, while he faced Shadow head-on. Suddenly, Shadow caught him from behind, landing a crushing blow and then unleashing a flurry of attacks. Yet Ain stood firm like a mountain, enduring each strike. Shadow laughed. "Did I not tell you? You cannot attack me. If you do, Nigon will be the first to die." Ain's voice thundered in reply. "No, that will never happen. I will not sacrifice Nigon to save the rest." Ain shouted with all his might. "Nigon, I know you can hear me." Shadow pummeled him mercilessly, but Ain did not relent. Step by step he advanced, still calling out, until he reached him and slammed his head into the ground. "Nigon, you said you wanted to protect your village. I know you meant it. You must rise again and protect it." Memories of his father surged within Nigon, and tears streamed down his face. "I should have known what Shadow was doing to me. What I did with my own hands, I will never forgive myself for." He struggled to awaken, but Shadow's grip remained. "I will never leave," Shadow growled. With trembling resolve, Nigon seized a dagger and plunged it into himself. Shadow snarled, "Then die alone, fool!" He burst out of Nigon's body in the form of a small beast, attempting to flee, but Ain gave him no quarter. His blade flew like lightning, splitting Shadow clean in two. Ain rushed to Nigon, healing him until his breath steadied. Nigon whispered weakly, "Why did you save me, Ain? Why pull me out of the darkness? I was ready to sacrifice myself to atone for my sins." Ain answered firmly, "I will never allow you to throw away your life, nor the lives of others. You must atone here, in your village, not by fleeing into death." But Shadow was not gone. He emerged once more in a diminished form, trying to escape, only to be seized by Bina. Ain approached and demanded, "Why do you demons seek my death? What have I done to you? Am I truly such a threat?" Shadow sneered, "Do you not know? Are you not of my kin?" Ain's eyes hardened. "Then I shall end you. Plain and simple." Shadow panicked. "Wait, I will tell you everything. Only promise to free me." Yet before he could finish, his body erupted within the barrier that confined him. A curse had been placed upon all demons. Should they reveal vital secrets, they would be obliterated instantly. Later, Ain returned to the castle, where he learned that the king had decided to appoint him governor of the region he had saved. This, at Nigon's own request, after surrendering himself to justice. Ain accepted the post. Claudia, with a playful smile, said, "So now we can finally marry officially." Ain laughed and replied, "Spare me, my lady. I am no match for you. I was never meant to be bound." We shift now to the Demon Kingdom, where two of its nobles gathered, inspecting the aftermath of Shadow, who had been slain by Ain with a single strike. Suddenly, the head of one of them was severed and sent flying, prompting cries of disbelief. "Who is this?" A woman then addressed the nobles, saying coldly, "The thing I despise most is weakness, and for one to oppress someone even weaker than himself." This woman, who now stood among the highest ranks of the demon nobility after the Demon King himself, was named Yona, the third strongest figure in the entire kingdom. Yona had summoned a servant and tasked him with sending an assassin to kill Ain and bring back a spirit tree soul. She handed him the location of the dungeon that needed to be targeted and reassured him before his departure. "Do not worry. I shall return with the spirit tree soul and personally rid us of this so-called garbage collector. Wait for me." Her confidence in herself was extraordinary. We returned to Ain when Alice approached him and said, "I want something from you. I had been watching you through my crystal because I wished to see my sisters before you came to me." And suddenly this vision appeared. Ain looked and saw a girl lying on a bed. Yuri rushed to embrace her, thinking she was her elder sister Krosh, but it turned out to be nothing more than an illusion, not her real body. They shared a brief moment of lighthearted banter. Then Alice said, "Let us get to the point. Krosh tells you that a demon is now targeting a dungeon where our sister resides, and we need Ain's help. Until now we've held the situation under control, but the enemy is far too powerful." Ain replied, "Then let us go immediately to your dungeon." But Alice corrected him, "No, it is not my dungeon being targeted. It is the dungeon of our youngest sister, me. You will find me there, for Mi's guardian died long ago, and I have taken it upon myself to protect her until this day." Alice pressed further, Can you not face her alone? Krosh retorted. If I could, I would not have come here, would I? Ain then said firmly, I will take the group and come to you at once. Alice confirmed that she knew the way to the dungeon and mapped out the route for him. Ain dashed toward the dungeon when suddenly Rosla warned him, stop immediately. Something lies ahead. He looked and saw dense swarms of bees clustering around a girl. That girl then revealed herself to be a demon noble and declared, my name is Hornet, and I control these insects. She commanded the swarm to attack Ain. Yet he stood motionless. In the blink of an eye, he vanished and reappeared behind her, driving his sword into her back, taunting, did you think you had died already? From her body emerged even greater swarms of insects, and Hornet cried, my ability is to move freely among them all. Tell me, which one of me will you strike down? Ain answered with unshaken confidence, it does not matter which. I will eliminate all of them. He unleashed his magic, obliterating every false copy until only the real Hornet remained. Stunned and disbelieving, she tried to flee, but suddenly, the portal she sought to escape through closed in her face, and from it stepped Yona. She asked icily, why are you running away? Hornet confessed breathlessly, he is far stronger than I imagined. I never thought. She had no chance to finish her words, for Yona drew her gun and shot her without hesitation. The portal sealed itself shut. Ain stood upon a rocky outcrop watching. Yona turned her gaze toward him and said coldly, not bad for a garbage collector like you. But it is my task to finish you here. With arrogant pride she continued, I am not one who hands the task of collecting spirit tree souls to the weaklings among our demonlings. Yet I cannot understand why they gave you such weight in our kingdom. I have come to kill you and claim the spirit tree soul. Ain replied with steel in his voice, I will never forgive you. Yona laughed mockingly and asked, and what will you do? In that instant, Shadow appeared behind her, casting a draining spell to sap her energy. The air cracked and roared, golden arcs flashing as he struck mercilessly. He pummeled her left and right without a shred of mercy, finally slamming her body into the ground. It was the end of Hornet. Her body lay twisted and lifeless, while Yona merely watched the scene unfold with chilling indifference. After all that, Yona smirked coldly and said, it has been a long time since I felt this excited. This might actually be fun. She drew 2 pistols and unleashed a hail of bullets at Ain, but with a single swing of his sword, he deflected them all. As she tried to maneuver and escape, Ain suddenly appeared behind her and sliced off her head. Shocked, Yona stammered, How did this happen? Ain stepped closer and replied, do you know why I defeated you? With every strike I landed, I infused it with drain magic. Now your energy is weaker than the weakest beast in the forest. Yona screamed, impossible! I am of the elite. From the moment of my birth, I have been among the highest ranks. I will never allow someone like you to do this to me. She opened a portal and retreated to her realm, vowing, next time, I will end you. But Ain paid it no mind, for his focus was on reaching me and Krosh. Alice guided him to the place, and upon arrival, he saw a white barrier surrounding the dungeon. While he pondered how to enter, the barrier opened and Krosh's voice rang from within. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Ain and his companions entered and found Krosh, their elder sister. They rushed to her and embraced her warmly. Ain asked about me, and Krosh answered, she is sleeping over there. Ain approached and saw a small, innocent girl sleeping peacefully. He tried not to wake her, but she stirred and let out a loud scream. It was clear Ain had never dealt with children before. He was clueless on how to calm her. Yuri hurried over, embraced her, and the child quieted down, greeting the rest of her sisters. Ain tried to lighten the mood with her, and slowly she began to smile. Afterwards, Krosh handed over her spirit core, and Mi did the same. Ain rejoiced, for he had now united Yuri with 4 of her sisters. Rusla said, only 4 remain, and I know you can do it. Ain replied with a smile. All my life I felt worthless, plagued by dark thoughts, but ever since I met Yuri and her sisters, I want nothing more than to protect them and see them happy. That is why I have begun to love myself again. Rusla kicked him playfully and said, enough nonsense. Focus on your duty. She added the 2 cores to his eye, and joy filled everyone's hearts. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, Echidna held a council with the elite nobles. She declared, that boy, Ain, has become a great threat to us and to our plan of resurrecting the Demon King. We must unite to destroy him, but will they succeed? That remains to be seen. As for Ain, he returned to Nagon's castle, now the official ruler of the region. There he lived with the ever-growing family. he announced, "Today, we begin cleansing this place." After much discussion, they all agreed and started cleaning the castle. Once finished, they dressed in new clothes for a grand celebration. Yuri brought Ain to the hall, where they had prepared a special suit for him. The atmosphere was joyous. They danced, they feasted. Later, Yuri led Ain outside and thanked him, saying, "You are the one who reunited me with my sisters. I don't know how to repay you." Ain smiled and replied, "Think nothing of it. I'm only returning the kindness you showed me. There is still much to do, and we will find your remaining sisters, no matter how long it takes." Happiness overwhelmed Yuri as she looked at him with sparkling eyes. And so ends the first part of our tale. If you wish to know what Echidna will do with the Demon Legion and what fate awaits Ain after all these events, stay tuned for part 2. Until we meet again, farewell.